Brother Jody.
Go ahead and be seated if you like. I was talking to a friend of mine a few months ago. What was his statement? When he said it, I said, that right there was preach. And up until now, I've had the opportunity, but I haven't felt led to preach that particular title. But as I was scrolling through Facebook the other day, and when I saw this, it made me think about what he said. It had a ministry pass. And it's an app you can download. It's a free sermon series, calendar planning spreadsheet. I don't know about any of the rest of the preachers around here, but me and spreadsheets wouldn't get along together to start with. I mean, a few more sermons, I might get me a new tablet. So the whole idea of, there's a forum on Facebook you can get, and you can just you can plan your whole year. And when I was looking at it, it popped up 3 or 4 different times, but exactly, I'm like, a lot of times you talk about something and scroll through Facebook, the next thing you know, it's showing what you've been talking about. So be careful what you talk about. Yeah. So anyway, I kept on, and that kept on popping up. This is crazy. It's kind of like when I was looking for a funeral sermon here about a year or so ago, and I didn't know the person I was going to preach the funeral for, and I just kind of, Sister Michelle, I just kind of lost it, what I was supposed to say. And the first thing that popped up was a non-religious funeral sermon. Well, why would I do that? I don't know if these people know, well, the one out there, you wouldn't make no difference what they knew, but somebody out there might not know God, and why would I preach a non-religious, but anyway, I digress. But anyway, when I kept on seeing this, I thought, what this young man told me, and I think he's a Methodist minister, and he's going to beat me to preaching it. So if he watches this, Justin, I'm sorry. So, but we sat and talking. He said, sometimes we find ourselves going through the motion without emotion.
That's true.
And when Brother Ben was preaching Sunday night, I'm like, some of the scriptures that I was going to do with this kind of went with what you was doing. I'm like, okay, but how many times we find ourselves just going because that's what we we just go.
Right.
And I was sitting around the house today when I was studying a little bit, and I decided I'd turn the TV on YouTube and looked at some of our services. And when I typed in BZPC, it wouldn't show me nothing. I noticed it, so I had to actually put the actual name up there. And for it to show me anything. And when I scrolled across, there's 2 of our latest services was on there, and the third thing that was up there was my pop's funeral. And so like a dummy, I just stopped and watched it.
Of course.
And I was sitting there trying to study, and I was crying and lit and laughing, and all the time I kept on going back, just going through the motion without emotion. And a lot of stuff was said about my dad at his funeral, but what nobody mentioned was that my mother was right there beside him. Everything that he did, she was right there with him.
Right.
And he got a lot of credit, as most of the time us men do. A lot of times we get credit for something somebody else is doing, or somebody else is prodding us to do. But Do what?
Well, I was ready.
You know, I'm okay with that, because I'm kind of like one of Clint Eastwood's movies, man, got to know his limitations, you know.
Right.
You got to have somebody good behind you
That's right.
to, you know, and I'm glad I have some good people behind me. I'm got a good wife to prod me on when I don't want to go. Not to church, but lots of nights going to church. I was watching different ones that got up and spoke, and Brother Ben got up, and he had that handkerchief of my dad's, and I have to think, you know, a lot of times you might see Brother Ben going through motions, but you see that handkerchief, you know, there's some emotion going on with that, and just different stories I'm just reliving as I was watching that, and one particular story that got told was when we was going through the little bottom that night trying to get to church. And if there hadn't been some emotion, Sister Debbie, when we got to that water that was halfway up, I mean, it come up halfway the headlights. If we had been, now I was just a kid, I'll remember it, but I would have been fine turning around or let me out and swim, one of the two. But Mother and Daddy, they just said, you know, I've said before, kind of halfway joking, you know, if we was going to wash windows, it didn't matter if I was big enough to reach the window, I was big enough to tow the bucket.
Right.
If there's, Brother Zach, we've talked here a while back, he may have been raised in a Baptist church, Sister Robin raised in a Baptist church, and they was raised in if there's something going on, we were there.
Right.
As a child, I was going through the motion. But there was something inside that made my parents drag me, because there was some emotion behind what they were doing.
That's right.
I mean, we went through that water, and there was no way we should have made it. And the old car, when we got out of church, it wouldn't crank. And my brother told this story. He said Daddy got that handkerchief out. That's what made me think about Brother Ben, was Daddy's handkerchief. Brother Smooth, he popped that distributor cap off, took that handkerchief and dried it out. He put it back on, and that old car fired up, and we got home, and it never cranked again. But Brother Sean, there was some emotion inside.
Right.
Not just my father, but my mother.
Right.
But my Riddle was trying to jump out of the car. She had a different kind of emotion going on.
All the emotions.
All the time, yeah. It wasn't sweet emotion most of the time. But, you know, just different things. I remember, y'all know me, I've got notes, and in my mind is just, this whole thing of a sermon planning, it just blows my mind. One Sunday afternoon, and I don't have none of this wrote down, it just hit me. We were down at Blue Island Pond. Brother Joseph probably knows where that's at, and Brother Charles I know does. Brother Smooth probably knows where it's at. I don't know if Brother Zach knows or not, but probably one of the, what was the nasty river that he had the prophet had to dip in, the Jordan River. The Jordan River didn't have nothing on Blue Island Pond. And we was down there swimming. And I was always the smallest. Maybe that's the reason I'm the daredevil, or so my wife and son says I am. So I was always one, Sister Lindsay, I was the one that had to see if the water was cold, see if there's anything in the water. Because I knew either I did or I got thrown in. One, you know, so it's easier. This particular day, I had one on each hand, one on each foot, laying me on my belly, and they go to swing. And somebody on the feet let go too quick, and I barely cleared the bank, and I hit a log that had a little snag on it, just busted my heel open. They put me in the back of a '72 Volkswagen Super Beetle, Strange the things you can remember. There was a J.C. Whitney magazine in the back dash. I'm laying in the back of this car and my heel busted wide open, looking through the J.C. Whitney. And for you females that don't know what J.C. Whitney is, it was a car parts magazine. I was 13 years old. I didn't have a car. I don't know what I was looking for. But, and my story has a meaning for it when I get to it. So anyway, we get to the hospital and they scrubbed my heel with a wire brush, it felt like. And then they stitched it up. And then I go back to Mama Pauline's house where we'd all left from that afternoon, where my church clothes was. And Brother Zach, I got dressed for church and we went to church. Simply because somewhere down the road there was some emotion put into the motion. And I played the drums that night. With that, I had a gash that long in my heel. And I paid for it when we got home because they didn't give me no pain medication. And I was up most of the night with a different kind of emotion going on then. But I'm so glad that somewhere, even though I might not have understood at 13 years old the emotion, because we learned early. Any of you ever play church? Sister Pauletta, you done got me calling her Pauletta.
She doesn't mind.
We learned at an early age how to play church. And far too many times we let that, as we grew older, and we could go through the motion. There was a couple of girls at the same age as me, or a year or so younger than me, and they would come up to the altar. And it's so funny, it's hard to pray because there's up here, they'd be side by side. They'd make sure they had company, and whatever this and that was going to do. So there was no emotion.
Right.
They just went through the motion of getting there.
Right.
Now sooner or later, maybe something happened with them. I don't know. I haven't seen them in years. But it was just, they went through the motion. And if there's not some emotion in there, then it's not going to amount to anything.
That's right.
I do have a scripture. I had some more, and I told Sister Shawn, I said I had some more stuff, and after I got here, after looking over it, it didn't make any sense. It sounded real good in here, at home, and so that's going to be for another time. I do have some scriptures, but it's just, and I may try to sing a song here in a minute, I don't know. I've never tried. I've sung Back Up to the Light. We sung it on the bus one night when it didn't burn in two. We couldn't remember one verse, and we sung that verse and one chorus, and we sung it and sung it and sung it. And Sister Christy, there's some emotion going on.
Right.
And it all stems, it was being told us in our staff meeting the other night about teaching your children, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord.
Yes.
And when he said that, I could remember as a child, Mother telling us that. And I can only hope that Sister Robin did ours that way when I was little, because I was a heathen when I was little. But I think she done a pretty good job.
Yes, you did.
And but I'm going to read these few scriptures. You just stay seated. I appreciate when you do, but it's not many, but I don't. Y'all all kind of old. I want y'all to give out. 1 Corinthians 13, starting with the first verse. It says, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and I have not charity. What is charity? Love. What is love? it's one of the best emotions ever.
Right.
So I can, I can get up here and just run my mouth 90 miles an hour, and if I don't have some, if there's not some love in there to go with it,
That's right.
then what's it
That's
say?
it.
I become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
Help us, God.
And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, how many times run somebody they just got all the knowledge in the world and ain't got a little sense? And though I have all faith, so that I can remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, can you imagine giving your body to be burned, and but there's no love in that body? It profiteth, that's hard to say, mean nothing. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own. Reckon why it said her own? Something about a woman's love or a mother's love. You know, us men, and y'all may burn me at the stake when we leave here, but you know, we men could learn a lot from y'all women.
That's right. Wait a minute.
I mean, you ever hear a mother pray?
Right. The difference.
I can be tore up about my kids or whatever and pray, and my wife can be tore up about the same situation. Her prayer is going to be different than mine. We try to, men are fixers, but we can't fix everything.
Right.
And if we can dig down deep and find that emotion
Right.
to go along with the emotion.
Right.
And we were in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And we just stopped at Burger King. Captain B.
Yeah, they were Japanese.
I'm gonna tell you what. And I just know this story too. Y'all see Brother Jason sitting back there. Y'all don't see him up here. Every song is sang, he's not singing with just motion. But the bus that we had, that we spent more time under than we did in, it caught on fire. And all the windows was burning. I mean, when the fire department showed up and they put the cold water on it, the windows just blew out. We had a windshield, a back glass, and some seats, and the metal was all rippled. And we got off, and we was all lips dragging our feet, squalling and bawling. We was ready to give up. Brother Jason turned into Brother Charles all of a sudden. And there was some emotion in what Brother Jason said, you know, God didn't bring us here just to leave us here. And I'll never forget it.
Right.
There was some emotion in that motion.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And they called a record service to come tow the bus out of the middle of the road. And my brother told them, said they can't move it. Oh, they can move anything. Okay. Record service shows up. Brother Sean, they said, air brakes. My brother said, yep. He said, we can't move it. He give us a broom to brush the glass out of the road and give us a bill for $50 to use his broom. And the cop that was there, he said, will it crank? My brother said, well, it's running when we pull the battery cables loose while it's on fire. So we put the battery cables back on. It fired up. We pulled it over in the parking lot. Brother Charles and several more showed up with our old trailer. And, Brother Zach, the only thing we lost in the fire was a head off of one of my drums. And we put all the stuff into a shoe store. Because we got it out, sitting in the road, and I got it out of the road and said, I don't know who the lady was, but she let us put our stuff there. And Brother Charles and somebody, Brother Brian Carter, and yeah, because Brian was with us. Yeah, but they showed up with their trailer, we put everything on it, and Daddy looked at us and what we're gonna do. My brother said, well, I'm ready to go home. And we cranked that bus up, and now it was burnt in the middle. And all your controls for the cords in the front, and you got lights and everything in the back. And somehow or another, we had brake lights, we had tail lights, had signal lights, didn't have no running lights, so that all melted off. And we fired our bus up, Brother Charles and y'all come in a van and a truck, I think, and got everybody on it in there but me and my dad and my brother. And it was cold. And we got started down the road in the wind and got to looking around and found some blankets, and I was sitting up on we didn't have a jump seat, we just had a step. I was sitting on the step. I was covered up, Daddy was covered up, Mark was covered up. And we started singing, when everything is gone wrong, I got my back to the wall. Satan's coming on strong, he really wants us to fall. He sends trouble my way. Even sickness is part of his plan. But we had to put some emotion in this motion. Said, by myself I can't stand. So I just throw up my hands.
Yes.
When you find yourself in dire straits,
Right.
and you think you're all by yourself, just throw up your hands.
Right.
Start praying. You know,
Yeah.
it's not easy. You know, we started trying to sing that song and we couldn't remember one verse. Which means we sung the far out of that verse. I ain't got a clue what key was in. Yeah, probably several of them, probably. But there was some emotion in that song. And I thought about this afternoon when I sat there watching that, and I just cried. Felt so silly. But I wouldn't take nothing.
Amen.
I wouldn't take nothing from a journey now.
Amen.
Brother Jerry Kelsey used to sing that. He could pick the part of a guitar, and you asked him what key was that. I don't know, it's right here. Now, he knew how to make keys, but when he was picking, you wouldn't lose it. But he'd sing that, I wouldn't take nothing from a journey now. It's been some, Sister Rah, there's been some, tough spots.
Right.
But there's always been somebody there with me.
Right.
And I don't ever want to forget how to put emotion into my motion.
Yes.
I don't ever want to forget where he brought me from.
Yes.
I don't want to go back and try to relive it. And I don't think you should get up here and, what's the word? Reminisce it like it's something good.
No.
But yeah, there's another word, and we and you both in the same shape right now. But I can't glamorize it, that's it. You know, it's fine to remember where he brought you from,
Right.
and be thankful for it. You know, what he's took me through is made me who I am.
Yes, it is.
And some of y'all probably figure, well, I wish it put you through something else.
No.
But you know,
No.
something different.
Yeah, no.
Calm down.
Yeah.
But you know, God has been good.
Yes, he has.
you know, we've seen a lot come and go, been through a lot, but you know what? We ain't the only ones been through stuff.
That's right, right.
You know, a lot of times, and I've heard it said, well, it's rougher on me because it's me. And if my head hurts, it hurts worse than your head because I feel it. I don't feel yours. Well, at the end of the day, we both hurt.
Right.
But if we can put some emotion with that hurt to reach out
Yes.
to that other one hurt.
Yes, it makes a difference.
What did it say in Job? When he prayed for his friends? How tough could that be? I mean, he got friends telling him, what have you done wrong? You might have done something to be in this kind of shape. I'm just afraid I would have prayed like that country music song. Let the flower pot fall on her head and wheel run off the car. You know, I'm praying for you. So I don't need them kind of prayers. I have that kind of luck on my own. But we don't ever need to forget where God has brought us
Right.
from.
That's right.
We don't ever need to forget how to use some emotion.
Yes.
Just like First Corinthians, you would read that at a wedding, and but I thought it'd be fitting to read tonight. We don't have some love, and not just for us. I got to figure out what to call my pastor now. My pastor son, my son pastor. He's pretty good about getting on to me about different things. I'm pretty good about ignoring it sometimes. But if we can get to the point to have the charity, the love, that emotion for our fellow man, not just for our. You know, it's easier for me to love y'all most of the time. Some of y'all. But we gotta love them out there.
That's right.
It don't matter. It don't matter what they've done. We don't have to condone what they're doing. We gotta love them. And if we love them, then we can put some emotion in reaching.
Yes, we can.
Sister Rara and myself met a lady today. It's amazing where God will put you. We was out car shopping and stopped at this car lot, and a lady came up, started talking to us, took us outside to show us a vehicle, and just quit talking about the vehicle and started talking about church. And where y'all go to church? And she's looking for a church. And reach out to people.
Right.
Show some emotion. I really expect to see her here sometime in not so distant future. But I would love for us to try, well, y'all can sing the song. I'll play and try to back you up. But I want us to sing that song tonight. We don't usually end on Wednesday night with a song, but I don't care. I've been told before that I'm not normal, so that's okay too. And I'd like for whoever, I'll try, y'all back me up. Michelle, I'm gonna be like Mama, I think it's gonna be in key of F.
Why don't we all just stand together around the front for that closing worship song?
When everything is going wrong, I got my back to the wall. Satan's coming on strong. Here he wants me to fall. He said, "Trouble highway." I just
that motion.
Thank you, Jesus.
And I think we're getting better and better at that.
Thank you, Jesus.
Better and better. Does anybody have a prayer request before we leave or need prayer or anything like that?